And we can hear you too. And we're live.
Oh man. Okay. Hello, Will.
All right, we were live. Garrett, you made it over. Yes.
Deeply troubling stuff, man. Deeply
Right on.
troubling.
I'm gonna go ahead and grab Gregory out of the crowd here. There he is. Gregory, thank you. Let's add you, get you up on screen here, and welcome everyone to the token economics portion of our program.
All right.
All right, Gregory, take it away. Welcome everybody.
Hey all, welcome to this session on token economics, Regen Network token economics. I've asked Will, who's over on Regen Foundation side and was instrumental in writing the token economics paper with yours truly, and yeah, all around great guy, and Garrett, who's been an advisor to the project for quite some time and is how shall I say, mathematically inclined, and also just pretty deeply in the crypto economics and sustainable finance worlds, to have a quick conversation. And my hope here is to give folks first an understanding of just the general token economics of Regen Ledger, right, as a proof of stake blockchain. And how that all works. But also I want to go a layer deeper into what we're hoping to innovate, what the opportunities are for sort of token engineering as far as the next layer up around carbon credits, maybe green bonds, ecological data, just all of these things that we end up thinking a lot about. So some of this will be letting everybody know. Garrett's,
It didn't work.
Okay. All right.
Some of this will be sort of like informational out to the community in case there's questions about what the token economics are, and some of this will be sort of speculative and creative. So with that, I mean, first, of course, I loved in the last couple of sessions how people were, just getting a chance to introduce themselves. So now that I've sort of framed out what we're going to talk about, Will, would you mind giving us just a brief introduction to yourself, and then maybe we'll do a quick round like that, and then Will, I'll pass it to you again to give us a brief introduction after we've all introduced ourselves to the token economics. So Will, Mr. Will Zoll, take it from here.
Sure, yeah. I'm calling in today from Northfield, Massachusetts, overlooking the Connecticut River Valley. I met Gregory on the shore of Lake Champlain back in 2010 at a Slow Money conference, and we've been working together on regenerative agriculture and alternative economic projects since then. So when things got rolling with Regen Network in 2017, I joined the team, and my first hat was the economics hat. Maybe I'll just keep it to that for now.
Great. Mr. G?
I met Gregory and Christian and Will in what is apparently 2017, but I really thought was 2016, at the assemblage in New York City up on 28th Street. And I had a background in climate finance prior to my tenure in crypto land. And the biggest problem with climate finance is the verifiability and the auditability of claims surrounding literally anything. And so when I met Gregory and learned what was happening, I was, very, very excited, because this is really like a $1 trillion problem. Yes. What is this?
Cli-Fi,
yes.
Cli-Fi, DeFi.
I was deep in the Cli-Fi, yeah. So my first ever startup or whatever was like a robo advisor for sustainable investments, and kind of got out of that because you can't really. It's hard. You can't really make change. You have to trust the company to make change for you, in public equity or private equity or VC, and there's no way of knowing that they do anything. Really, and Regen kind of solves that problem. So I, as the kids say, I aped into Regen, and I am one of those kids. And Andrew, shout out Andrew, who's in the audience right now. Degen to Regen, both, definitely both, definitely both. But Yeah, and along with Andrew, who's the CIO for a very large family office, is who's in the audience today. We've been working together on this for a long time.
Awesome. Thanks, Garrett. So, yeah, I mean, folks know me. I'm Gregory, one of the co-founders and recently Grand Poobah and benevolent dictator of R&D Inc., or CEO, whatever you want to say. So, just a brief, window into my passion around the economic side of things. I sort of dove straight in after my undergraduate degree in environmental science. I dove straight into the permaculture and eco-village world, and I spent a lot of time thinking about local economics, local currencies, working on, and most of my sort of vocation or career, the way I made money for almost 10 years was really building business models based on regenerative agriculture, regenerative land use, and sort of landscape transformation, and really at the sort of micro scale, what does it take for a business to operate in today's economy in such a way that the business owner is profiting through regenerative agriculture. And I really started to see that there needed to be a systemic transformation, because at a macro scale, economic incentives are not aligned with ecological regeneration. And so just started, thinking, what would it look like for every stakeholder in the economy to be long on planetary regeneration? What needs to be true? What needs to be true for all of our incentives to be aligned for the commons to be regenerating, for soil to be regenerating, for agroecosystems to be the foundation for, ecological thriving, and also our, sustenance as a species at a local scale and a global scale. What would that look like? And Regen Network, the need to have sort of systemic intervention, and to underpin that systemic intervention, as Garrett was talking about, with verifiable claims, so that we can actually check who is saying what about where, and what does that relate to in terms of real ecological health outcome. That needs to be infused and imbued into our economic system. And so ecological sentience needs to be connected to our economic logic. The wisdom of ecosystems needs to make its way into financial transactions and monetary systems. So let's just take a walk through. I think we're going to talk about a couple of different layers here. I think we're going to start out on sort of data integrity and the proof of stake blockchain, and the role of regen tokens and the token economics of that layer around trying to create a transparent peer-to-peer ecological ledger as the foundation for the rest of what we're talking about. So Will, do you want to just take us on a quick walk through the token economics at that sort of base protocol level of what's being built here?
Yeah, sure. And so we can't talk about token economics without talking about consensus. And when we were at the drawing board back in 2017 and 2018, we talked through, we've talked through proof of authority. We talked through dual token systems, a staking token and a fees token. We talked through, is it kind of static or dynamic supply? There's a lot of factors that go into all this. Once we came in with the Cosmos camp, and we're clear that this was the community and blockchain that we wanted to be building on, we decided that the place to begin was just go with the economics that's already the default in Cosmos. So actually, I just to share one link here, there's been some debate on staking rewards, and do we want, we use the term inflation, even though it's not actually inflation, in that inflation refers to prices, and like the prices of atoms have been going up even though the supply has been increasing. And so there's demurrage models, there's kind of a lot of a lot of ways we could go here, but what we focused on was, let's just start with something that we know works, that's been proven in Cosmos. So we're basically a fork of Cosmos's token economics right now. And what the token economics paper that I shared earlier looks at that network security level. Just we want a network here that's we're really going to be able to trust, and we'll be able to do a lot more novel things on top of that once that's really solid. And so maybe in a moment here, we'll get into some of the exciting possibilities that arise on top of a solid chain. You're on mute, Gregory.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I am on mute. So taking a step back, the token economic model that we currently have essentially is incentivizing, sort of from my perspective, it's built to incentivize a couple of things. It's built to incentivize a highly available data layer that allows for sort of instantaneous transaction between peers and sort of maintaining consensus so that data and transactions are available publicly in a permissionless network. So in our work, we want ecological data to be available as it relates to claims, and we want ecological assets that are linked to that data to be able to be classified through the metadata into what they are and what the data is that supports them, so that the market can price their value. And we want there to be sort of a high availability of all of this information, meaning omni availability. We don't want it to go down. We don't want a situation in which those assets or that data actually goes down. So all of the base layer incentives are around that data integrity and data availability. And the Regen staking token essentially incentivizes a group of validators and other participants to co-create that sort of that base layer, that foundational layer of data integrity and availability. So, so taking a step back, is there anything that you would like to add to that in terms of just proof of stake, token economics, and Regen Networks sort of token logic, Garrett, before we move on into the next layer of conversation?
No, because I think anything that I wanted to add is probably upcoming, and I don't want to jump the gun on the the stream of consciousness around this.
Yeah. So to reiterate some things that Will said, we went with, it's sort of a funny thing to say, but we went with a very conservative approach to our token economics. We went with a battle-tested, tried and true token economic structure of a proof-of-stake blockchain based on the Cosmos SDK, that we had data about the performance of that blockchain, about the governance, availability, uptime, all of the things that we cared about. We could look and we could look at the performance of the Cosmos Hub and other hubs, and we could say, great, we have actual empirical evidence that this is working in the following ways. We're going to use this. And then as a community, we can upgrade parameters. And the key parameters we can upgrade include inflation, or the rate at which block rewards are produced. We can set minimum fee floors and other things like that. And we can actually, even if we go beyond parameters, as Will was saying, we can transform the token economics as a community. Sort of, we're like a decentral bank as a community. We can change the token mechanics and incentives to best suit the use case. And I think at this stage, we're, as a community, I hear a lot of people talking. I'm firmly also of the opinion we want to do modeling and have a solid engineering approach to any changes we're going to make. Part of why we have the token economic system we do is because we had empirical evidence that it was working. So we wanted to be sort of, conservative in that way about sort of testing something and then unrolling it out into the world. So with all of that kind of encapsulated, now I want to get sort of speculative and have fun. So now we can talk about, the macro, like what's the transformation? What's the economic transformation we're working on? What does having this public ecological ledger up and running that we just launched, what does that enable? what is that going to enable us to do? What experiments, what new asset types or commons management tools, what ways can we innovate token incentives on the next layer up for credits and other assets? And maybe what's the role of, if bonus points if you can weave this into weave IBC into your answer. So go ahead.
Will, would you like to go first, sir?
Okay, sure. So if we think about where blockchain has been and where it is going, there's if we look at market cap and things like that, certainly layer one is very, very important at this point in time. But I think as we move into this next decade of blockchain, we're going to be seeing more and more real world assets living on chain. And a lot of the market cap is going to shift over there because we're going to be taking kind of other value and representing it on chain and letting it interact with and to talk to IBC, there will be interoperability of a lot of different tokens all time. So for example, if anyone in the Cosmos network wants to tie into ecological assets, they can do that through Regen Ledger. But I guess to talk about where we want to go here, we started Regen because we wanted to, I guess, finance planetary regeneration. How do we compensate land stewards for positive outcomes? And how do we create the ability to track shifts in ecological health and then tie those to financial arrangements that capitalize regeneration? So at the big picture level, that's what we're looking to do here. Maybe I'll pass it over to you, Garrett, and then we can turn this into a conversation here.
Yeah, sure. So I think a lot of this is getting into the things that really drew me to Regen, because I'm very biased on the enterprise solutions that Regen offers, and more the solutions that it's going to offer for DAOs. I'm very impressed lately by the legislation in the United States, in particular in Vermont and Washington and I think Wyoming, one of the W places, that is letting people open these LAOs, and it's going to allow for people to set DAOs up on any chain and talk to Regen and buy up land on whatever chain they're initially on, and then work with Regen to capitalize off of that land, and then take that land and the claims to the data of that land as well, and then use it to do all of these really incredible things like collateralize them for loans or stable coins or whatever. And that's always been, I think, in the crypto native vertical of Regen, I think that's what I'm probably most excited about, and using the Regen token for a governance function around surrounding the distribution of those things, or even allowing things into crypto native consortiums and so on, is really incredible. Because if you look at the state of the current DeFi market, it's really just stable coins and insane wacky tokens, and the ability to add natural capital assets to that in order to round that out is really remarkable. And then on the other side of things, as more and more people begin to use the platform and the velocity increases from the use of data and linking people up in transactions and so forth, it will be, it's extremely powerful for people to be able to do that. Sorry, I was distracted because David says we have 4 minutes left, so I didn't want to take up too much time. But yeah, if I was to harp on IBC, it's because we're going to be able to take natural capital assets and bring this entirely new asset class verifiably to DeFi and to crypto. And that's pretty much the coolest thing that anybody is working on, in my opinion. Nobody is doing that, and nobody can do that because Regen science is like A1 perfect or whatever. So it's really incredible, and everybody who's here right now is very incredible as well, because this is easily the most innovative thing that's happening right now in this market.
Fantastic, guys. So I think I'll just sort of a few closing or concluding remarks. So foundationally, we need to connect the existing world of sort of existing monetary and finance world to ecological regeneration. And we need to do so in a way that is of high integrity. We need data availability. We need to align incentives around real ecological outcomes. And we need to innovate assets and contract types that sort of realign profit with public goods and the provision of public goods like carbon sequestration and water quality outcomes, biodiversity, stewardship and support of endangered species. All of these things are just, they're imperatives, they're essential. We also recognize, and I think we didn't really talk about this in this session so much, but I do want to sort of flag the importance from our perspective around inclusion, participation, and justice, and how important it is to have indigenous people, landscapes themselves, smallholder land stewards, and sort of a plurality in the global south of people who are actually caring for the landscapes that are going to provide the regenerative outcomes that we need as a planet. Those stakeholders need to be included in the very foundation of the public infrastructure in the system. And that's currently something that those people are excluded from the financial system as a whole. They don't get to participate in governance. They don't get to participate in decision making. They don't get to participate in an alignment and upside around the system actually supporting transactions and other things. And that is something that is foundationally different about what Regen Network is trying to do, which is to include all of the stakeholders who are participating in the public network, in the public ledger and the system, so that we essentially have society and ecosystems represented at the base layer of how all of this is happening. And, you know, I just sort of want to emphasize that point as we're closing things out, that design tension, that is the design tension that Regen Network was born out of. How do we connect with efficient markets, right? And empower efficient markets where they're needed, so that assets can be generated and traded? And how do we preserve and expand the commons so that people are participating in governing their communities and their ecosystems and the foundation of healthy markets? And how do we bring those two things together? Regen Network and Regen Ledger and our token economics these are our best attempt. And I just want to say it's going to be iterative. We have a community to govern this. This protocol is not, you know, done and baked and never changing. We're going to be innovating and experimenting and upgrading towards this goal of a system that really works for high quality ecological accounting for the planet. So
yeah, and it's too bad that we don't have like a whole day to talk about this, because I'm very like happy about this topic. So it might be fun to like actually do this again sometime and get more into it.
Well, with that, we should plan on doing it again. This economic framework for discussion, I think, is a fascinating one, and we really just scratched the surface. And wanted to give all of you a debt of gratitude for being here and sharing with us. Want to get people excited. We're about to move into science. Got our science team. Gregory, I'm going to pull you back up on stage in just a minute. But Will and Garrett, thank you so much for your time and investment and knowledge. And we will see you over in the next session. Thank you so much.